Hello, this is my spoiler review of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Um, this is a spoiler review. There will be I will be talking about spoilers of this film. If you have not watched it, um, you can watch this, but you're not really going to understand what I'm talking about unless you've already seen it. Um, in order to have more context of this video, the link will be in this corner. Right here, where I will essentially be talking about, that's my non-spoiler review, but it still does cover some things that you'll need to know for this video. With that being said, let's move into it. I will be talking about interspersing over this video, instead of me recording the segments, it will be interspersed over, I'll be doing voiceover over gameplay footage of Starcrawler. So without much ado, let's get into it. After the cut. So in in the non-spoiler review of Matt Reeves' The Batman, I basically said that Batman has a small but significant story arc. So does Bruce Wayne. The small but significant story arc is this, okay? In the beginning of the film, Bruce Wayne / Batman, he feels like in order to live up to the legacy of his parents that he idolizes, in his mind they were perfect and they were trying to save the city, etc., that he has to get revenge on the crime element of the city. And even in the opening of the film, he's saying, the violence in the city keeps on going up, even though I'm out there taking down criminals. The violence in the city is going up, and this is evidenced by people fear Batman. In the beginning of the film, you see you see two significant things. You see criminals basically fucking up the city, spray painting on banks and robbing liquor stores and shit like that. And as soon as Commissioner Gordon turns on the bat signal, motherfuckers start running away. And oh shit, because there's this masked vigilante going around beating the shit out of people. And in the beginning of the film, and they used this in the trailers that they were showing for this film, in the first two trailers, you see Batman come across these gang of juggalos. Basically, they're juggalos. They're the equivalent of the real life gangs that we had about 6-7 years ago. Of these just random people who would go and punch someone the fuck out and then run away. And there's this Asian guy, and he gets off the train, and they scope him out and they chase him, and they're gonna take. And this guy tries to run away, and they're gonna beat his ass, and they start to really kick his ass, but Batman's there. And you hear Batman's theme for this film, which, as I said in the non-spoiler review, Batman's theme is like a funeral dirge. It's very, that's your ass, basically. So Batman essentially starts this, his ass-kicking crusade, if you will, where he beats the shit out of all these dudes. And most of them are using melee weapons, but one guy pulls out a gun, and Batman really doesn't like guns. So he especially beats the shit out of this one guy who pulled out the gun. Really fucks him up. And the only one who really gets away, the only person who he doesn't fuck up in the fight is this one, the youngest looking gangbanger who basically is he's he's the one who, the guy who pulled out the gun, he's like, no, don't use a gun. And the Batman doesn't beat his ass, but everyone else gets fucked up. So right off the bat, this Batman is very, this is a getting your ass Batman. Okay. Now, so from here, you're basically, it immediately goes to you watching the current mayor in a tight mayoral race, Don Reddy Jr., against Real. And he basically is like, despite everything, it's still a tight race. And he's like, what the fuck is this shit? And you see him playing with his kids, etc., etc. And then you see, like, Matt Reeves really knows how to build tension, because you see him watching the news report and him fixing a drink, and the Riddler's there just watching this guy talk on the phone. Like he's camouflaged in the guy's house. And then the Riddler knocks the dude out and strangles him to death using duct tape. Fucking duct tape. And, I mean, you will never look at duct tape the same way. It's going to be like, God damn. This is some fucked up shit. So from there, you basically go to Bruce Wayne, Batman basically going back into his Bruce Wayne persona and realizing that, shit, like nothing that I'm doing is working. Then later on that night, him being called by Jim Gordon to investigate a crime scene where the mayor has been murdered. And the reason why Batman's called in is because the Riddler has left him this package that says, "To Batman." So, needless to say, things are heating up. You're getting this cat and mouse game. So, essentially from here, you get a lot of exposition about what's going on. Batman getting clues and shit from the Riddler. Him figuring out these clues. Typical Batman shit, okay? But then we introduce another character. Batman, at a certain point, realizes that he needs to get information. So he goes to, he needs to get information. So he goes to the Iceberg Lounge, the Iceberg Lounge is the front club for a elite club run by Carmine Falcone. The guy who runs the Iceberg Lounge is Oswald, Oz, who is, it's Oswald Cobblepot. It's the Penguin. But this is the Penguin before he's the Penguin. This is like, he'll eventually become the Penguin that we know and love. The crime boss and all that shit. And Batman's like, okay, I don't know. And he winds up eventually crossing paths with Selina Kyle in the club, getting some information, etc., etc., moving along. Over time, more people are killed. The district attorney is murdered, and Batman is unable to save him. Literally, Bruce Wayne, the funeral for the mayor is attended by all of the law enforcement. The district attorney has been assaulted and had a bomb strapped to his neck. And he's forced to admit that he's a corrupt piece of shit. And there's nothing he can do. Batman can't save this guy. And the guy, I mean, he's dead. It explodes around his neck. He's fucking gone. Batman's knocked the fuck out. He's locked up in a police station. They're trying to unmask him. He manages to get out thanks to Jim Gordon's, intervention, etc., etc. But basically, the big thing to realize about this movie, because I'm not going to do a blow-by-blow, is that this movie basically, this movie is a lot of world building, which just kind of feels like, okay, if you're world building in an interesting way, it's a lot of world building in a very good way. It's not like we got to do this. It's like, oh, this is interesting. So from there, you go to the next part of this film, because this is a 3-hour film, and I'm not gonna do blow by blow, but to the third act of this film, where the Riddler's plan starts to come together, where he kills a third person, who is Carmine Falcone, who it turns out that Carmine Falcone has been running Gotham City for the last 20 years. Carmine Falcone basically cut a deal with the police to set up his competitor Sal Maroni, and he basically got him taken out of the game. And Carmine Falcone took over everything, and they used the Gotham Renewal Fund set up by Thomas Wayne and other philanthropists in Gotham City as a slush fund to pay everyone off. So, like, essentially, you have the vanquishing of the current king of Gotham so that a new king can come to fruition. And the Riddler, I mean, that's only, like, the first half of the Riddler's plan, because at this point, he's been getting a lot of incels, to get guns and shit, and storm a central location so that they can kill the mayor. Whoever wins, they're going to kill the mayor and then kill a whole bunch of other innocent people who are there to basically, quote unquote, change the city. And Batman realizing that he's been part of the problem for the last year and a half, because basically, like, his big catchphrase in the beginning of the film, when a villain, a gangbanger, asks, "Who are you?" he says, "I'm vengeance." And the guy whose ass he kicks and takes his and unmasks him, he's like, and Jim Gordon says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm vengeance." And Batman realizes that he's been part of the problem. Like, him just sitting there beating up people in order to get revenge for his parents and how he feels like the city has wronged him makes him no better than the criminals he's been trying to stop. And his character arc is him realizing that he can't just be about vengeance. He has to be a symbol of hope. And the realization that he's got to be a better person. He's got to make, like, before he can change the city, he has to change himself. He's not going to stop dressing like Batman, though, but he's going to start trying to help people, too, and not just beating up criminals. It's, small steps. So with that being said, we can move on to some of the criticisms that I've heard people been. I'll address 3 of the criticisms that people have been saying about this movie, point by point, and then I'll give my conclusion after the cut. So, one of the big criticisms that you hear from people who don't think this is a very good film is Batman is a bad detective in this film, even though it's a detective film. I would say that Batman actually is a he's better than you might think as a detective in this film. But the problem is, the issue is that most of the time when we've seen Batman, when we watch Batman films, or even when you watch the animated series, which I think is one of the best, I would say Batman the animated series is like the ultimate version of Batman. Most of the time, like the most popular versions of Batman, we typically see Batman when he is in the prime of his career, when he's got his shit together and he's really competent. This film should be called Batman in Transition, okay? Like, literally, the title, like, you're like, why is it called The Batman? Well, because it's the Batman movie. No, the movie, and this is where I'm going to say Matt Reeves, The Batman is fucking brilliant, is that this movie is literally Bruce Wayne becoming the Batman. It's Bruce Wayne going from being just a mass vigilante, beating the shit out of criminals, to becoming the Batman. Because during this entire film, things happen that make Bruce too emotionally involved in the case. So emotionally involved in the case that he starts missing clues and fucking up. From the start, seeing the mayor get killed and seeing that the mayor's son is the one that comes in and finds him dead. And, like, Bruce Wayne basically, like, seeing a parallel of himself in this, in the mayor's kid. And then later on in the film, he basically sees that, what's his name? Oh, shit, I forgot the guy's name. He learns that his father was involved with Carmine Falcone, indirectly. or directly in this case. He finds out that his parents aren't as lily white and pure of motive as he thought. He finds out that not only that, but he also finds out that like the Riddler tries to kill Bruce Wayne, but actually what winds up happening is that like Alfred, who's his butler / aide de camp, opens the package anyway, and it gets him. So the only family that Bruce has left, which is Alfred, it's the only family he has left, is like he is very badly injured. And there's a scene in the film where like basically like Bruce Wayne goes to the hospital to see Alfred. And the nurse is like, "Oh, does he have any other family? Like, can we contact?" He's like, "It's just me." Like, this is the only family that Bruce has left is Alfred. You know, like his mother's dead, his father's dead. You know, like everyone else pretty much just fucking uses him, and the only family he has left is Alfred. And even though they don't see eye to eye on everything, that's all he has left. And so, like, you're dealing with a Bruce Wayne who is already suffering a lot of emotional trauma just from seeing his parents murdered in front of him, and then seeing the city go down, then discovering that his parents being slandered and implicated, not on a not on a criminal level, but implicated in the murder of an innocent person. So finding out the parents that you idolized, they ain't in good shape either. So just a series of emotionally unstable events for a character who already, even on his best days, is emotionally unstable. Because you have to be emotionally unstable to want to dress up like a giant bat and beat the shit out of poor people. So the argument that you're dealing with a unhinged, missing clues Batman. You're dealing with a Batman who's very emotionally involved in a case. And this is year two. This isn't even a full year two. This is like year one Batman, and then he's like a few months into year two. And this is like, you're dealing with a very fresh, doesn't have all this shit together yet Batman. So that's my my mitigation to that first criticism. Criticism number two after the cut. So this is a criticism I've heard, that the film is too long. I agree. They could have cut about 15 minutes of footage in this film. They could have cut about 15 minutes of footage, or even better, just like not had certain scenes in there. Like they could have had Carmine Falcone, like you finding out that Carmine Falcone is the Rat, but he doesn't work for the police work for him. You didn't need to have a policeman tell you that. There were too many plot points that they were trying to juggle in this film that just didn't really had they been cut, the film wouldn't have suffered. But I'm glad it was there. Like, none of the scenes that they could have cut feel like if they weren't there, the film would have suffered, but they also don't feel like the fact that they're there, that the film suffers. Like, this is going to be a good film to have on Blu-ray and watch it, like pull out every once in a while and watch, in my humble opinion. Which leads to my my other point about the movie being too long. And that is, I mean, and this is just my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree. To me, this film basically felt like it felt like a really long episode of Batman the Animated Series. There were several episodes in Batman the Animated Series where you basically got to see Batman when he first began. Like, you got to see Batman's car before he got the classic Batmobile from the animated series. and you got to see like him early on in his career. This is what this movie felt like. It felt like a really long origin story for like one of Batman's earlier adventures. And what was there, I liked. I really did like what was there. My only my only my only concern with the film is it's like this film was really long because it was doing a lot of it was setting a lot of stuff in place for the next film, and it was also doing a lot of world building. And like, you know, and I know what some people are to say, but we know all these characters. You know, we know the Riddler, we know the Penguin, we know Catwoman, we know the Joker. Spoiler, yes. At the end of the film, there's the Joker has already been put in Arkham by Batman, which I applaud. Because the Joker's too fucking crazy. It doesn't make sense that a motherfucker as crazy as the Joker in Gotham City wouldn't have been put in Arkham. Like one of the first motherfuckers that Batman would have been like, okay, your ass has got to go to Arkham. You have got to take your ass to Arkham, motherfucker. You know, it's like, you know, at some point, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, it's like, yeah, look, I'm crazy. You're crazier. Okay, you need to go, take your ass to Arkham right now. So, I'm glad they established that in this movie that the Joker exists and his ass is in Arkham, where he belongs. So I mean, this film is a lot of establishing a lot of, you're seeing Batman in transition. There is a small, like I said, a small but significant character arc where a lot of really important shit happens, but it is appropriately it's appropriate. What happens is appropriately utilized. It's not just some BS, which I appreciate. I appreciate that. Like, even the stuff that I felt was like, this is making this movie too long, it served a purpose to what was going on in the film. The film could have been a little bit tighter, but overall it was pretty damn good. So that leads to the third criticism, which I'm hearing from a lot of Zack Snyder fans. And I'm going to get to that right now. Okay, so something that I've heard from the Snyder fanboys is that Matt Reeves is cribbing Snyder, and something I'm hearing from the Nolan fanboys who just think that Nolan's Batman trilogy is perfect and unstoppable. He's cribbing from Nolan. I don't think so. I mean, I think I'll deal with the Nolan criticism, with the Snyder stuff first. I think Matt Reeves has made his own version of Batman, and it works. It works better than anything Snyder ever tried to do. Like, you know, people thinking that Batman needs to be rated R and saying fuck you and I'll fucking kill you. Like, we got a darker Batman than that bullshit we got under Nolan, without Batman ever having to curse anyone out or threaten to kill anybody. Because Pattinson's Batman basically, like, it's like, this guy's out of control. Right? Like, and he didn't have to say it. You could see him. You could see him be out of fucking control. And it's like, God damn. This is not good. You know, this is not good. This guy is out of control. This guy is dangerous. He's dangerous. He needs to revamp his approach. You know? And, you know, by the end of the film, you do get that. You do get a more, you know, you're getting Batman beginning to turn a page on how he approaches his crime fighting career. But in the beginning, I mean, it's just a lot of like, damn, this guy's out of control. He's going to get someone killed. He's gonna, and I don't mean like criminals, even though he really, like, he fucks up a lot of criminals. I don't think he kills any of them. Like, he even saves a dirty cop. He's like, no, don't kill the dirty cop. You don't want to go to jail. He saves Selena Kyle from killing her father because he's like, once you kill Carmine Falcone, you will be it will take you down a road that you can't come back from. You don't want to do this. So I mean, even here you have Batman trying to save some people. It's just not like he's too emotionally involved in the overall case for him to basically do what needs to for his own stuff that he's dealing with. But you know, that's my own little thing. The Nolan criticism. Oh boy. I'm not going to deny that that Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Returns, and The Dark Knight Rises, those films are like, I know a lot of people like those movies, but I'm going to say an unpopular opinion. Batman, like, let's just compare this film, which, let's keep it real, this is the start of a new Batman trilogy, okay? Matt Reeves' film, The Batman, is the start of a new Batman trilogy. I'm going to compare it directly to Batman Begins. This film is better than Batman Begins. It's better. It's a better film. To me. Batman Begins had the benefit of coming after, like, it was the first Batman movie since Batman and Robin. No, yeah, Batman and Robin, which, let's keep it real, Batman and Robin was terrible. Right? Batman and Robin was a steaming pile of shit. Like, literally, you could have made any type of Batman movie, and as long as it wasn't that Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin bullshit, it would have done well. But Batman Begins, if you take a step back and, you know, stop riding Christopher Nolan's dick and look at it as a, like here's the thing, okay? Comic book adaptations are supposed to be, they're supposed to take the source material and trim it down so that the audience can, so someone who has not read the comics or the book or seen the screenplay or seen the play or the TV show can watch the movie and have a discussion with a fan of the source material, and they can have something in common. There are so many fucking dumbass changes in Batman Begins that fuck up the continuity of Batman that it's like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, this does not do service to the source material. So Batman Begins, in my opinion, is a worse beginning of a Batman trilogy. Yes, I said it. It's worse. I know some people are going to be like, how could you say that? Come on. Y'all know Batman Begins was terrible. Giving Batman a fucking tank. Making the first villains he fights in the start of his career is Ra's al Ghul and the Scarecrow. Come on, man. Come on. Come the fuck on. Come on. Batman Begins, all Batman Begins should have been was just Batman taking on the mafia in the organized crime in Gotham City. Then the second film should have been the rise of, you know, your masked criminals, you know, your crazy ass criminals with the weird outfits and shit. But, you know, whatever. They got Liam Neeson. They had to use Liam Neeson. I get it, but Batman Begins is not the. I would say the only good film Nolan did with the Batman moniker was that second film, The Dark Knight Rises, or was it Dark Knight Returns? Whichever one. The one that had Heath Ledger in as the Joker. That's the only one that was universally good. And that's because you just weren't expecting it. Like, it had a lot of practical special effects, and Heath Ledger's Joker, which I don't like, was still a very terrifying version of that character. But that's the only good thing about that film. Anyway, we'll move on to my conclusion after the cut. So here's my conclusion. My conclusion is that this film is really good. It's doing a lot of world building, which some people are not going to like, or some people be into it. I mean, like, I actually liked the world building that was going on. I liked that they built that. I liked that they built that Arkham Asylum exists. That Batman has been doing this shit for over a year. Like, he's into his second year at this point, and like, he's still inexperienced. He still hasn't gotten himself to where he's, you know, really competent at what he needs to do. He's not at that point yet. I like the fact that this is a Batman who is dealing with some shit. As someone who wants to dress up like a giant bat and beat up criminals would be doing. You know? I like the fact that they didn't fucking change the mythos with unnecessary changes to the character. Thomas and Martha Wayne still got shot. And it wasn't some huge grand conspiracy by a world-spanning criminal organization run by an eco-terrorist. Instead, it was, you know, it may, like, they use a lot of, unreliable narrator, where it's like, well, Thomas and Martha Wayne were shot. Could have been a random mugging. Could have been a hit from Carmine Falcone or some other gangster. Who knows? You know, like, you know, just how dirty was Thomas and Martha Wayne? You know, just what was going on here? You know, it's like, it's a lot of unreliable narrator type stuff that basically changes, like, doesn't really change the mythos, because we don't know if any of these things are true, but it forces you to think. I didn't know that. Like, there's a history of mental illness in Bruce Wayne's family. So, you know, he's been crazy for a while. It's in his bloodline. I liked that they did a lot of world building. I liked that they, you know, a lot of shit was explained. I liked it. I know some people probably didn't, but, you know, to each his own. If there was a downside of the game, of the movie, I would say that, like, this isn't a personal thing, but I have friends who went to go see this at a movie chain whose name will not be named, but let's say the first three letters of their name rhyme with ABC. Okay, a lot of people were talking and running their fucking mouths. And in the theater I was in, I saw someone take their little kid to see this, like a little 7-year-old kid. And I'm like, this shit is not for little kids. There's some hardcore shit going on in here, man. So with that being said, that's the end of the conclusion. I liked the film. I think it was pretty good. I think that almost, like, the only thing that kind of didn't work for me in the film was, I think that Matt Reeves' car chase scene, the climax of the car chase scene was awesome. The lead up was kind of just, the cuts were too quick to really see the action in a clear way. But, you know, you're not going to have everything you want. That's the end of this video. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Ring that bell icon so you get notifications for our new videos to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. That helps the channel grow. Share the video if you can. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can put them in the comment section. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at Gmail, Twitter, or on Discord. All those are in the description. Peace. Have a good day, and pipe.